completely machinima. And now for something completely machinima. And now for something completely machinima.
Hello and welcome to And Now for Something Completely Machinima, the podcast about machinima, virtual production, and related technologies. My name's Phil Rice, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Tracy Harwood and Damien Valentine.
Hello.
Hello.
Ricky Grove is not with us right now. We're hoping he may just surprise us and turn up. But what we're going to do is talk about Damien's, it's actually a duo pick this week in one of my favorite genres. And that is, well, Damien, I'll let you tell them about it.
Okay, so there's a little bit of backstory about how I chose these two films. For those of you who listen to our show regularly, remember a few weeks ago I talked about this contest with Star Citizen, and it was an official contest open to the community to create machinima films, short machinima films, and they'd be the winner would be chosen at the CitizenCon convention, which they do every year in October. At the time of recording, that was yesterday. And it's part of a 10-hour stream. I haven't had a chance to go and see who won that contest. But what I did was I looked at the previous contest they did a few years ago just to see what the winners were. And I couldn't really find out who the specific winner was because the website has been overhauled and some of that information has been lost. But I did find these two pictures, these two videos, which were entries to that contest and are quite highly regarded with the community. So I watched them both, and I thought, I can see why the community embraced them so well. So the theme of that contest was to create an in-world advert for one of the in-world organizations or businesses. And so the first one I got here is Dumpers Depot. And I'm not hugely familiar with the lore of Star Citizen, so I may be getting this wrong, but I believe it's an in-game shop where you can sell junk items and you can buy junk items that, salvage and stuff that to fix your ship, or if you found the stuff when you're out exploring that you want to just sell, this would be the place to go and do it. And so this is a 45-second commercial for that company or for that store that you'd expect to see if you actually lived in the world of Star Citizen. And then the second one is also 45 minutes. I'm guessing that was a rule for the contest because obviously the rules are gone, but they all seem to be 45 seconds long. So the second one is for Big Benny's Grab Eat, some kind of in-world food establishment. I couldn't find too much about this one. I did see something about a vending machine, so maybe you can just go and put some of your hard-earned credits into it and get a pre-packaged snack of some kind to rebuild your health or something. So again, this is an advert for that kind of food, and I thought it was really hilarious actually the way they had this food being delivered through space and the guy was just floating through there and the things are flying after him. And I thought, well, I can't pick between the two of them, and they're both so short. I thought, let's just have both of them there for this month's pick because they're both really good examples of what you can do with Star Citizen for a contest like this. And so I thought I'd share them with you guys.
Well, okay, so what I was quite interested in to start with was the number 2951 Star Citizen annual video contest. And then I realized as I was looking at it, that's the year that Star Citizen is referring to, isn't it?
So the year they had a year set for when the game was announced.
Ah,
And even though the game wasn't playable, they kept increasing that every year in the real time. So,
So it's Earth years for
but
Star Citizen.
but way off in the future.
Yeah, 2,951 year.
Yeah, I think they're up to 56 now or something like that.
Yeah, which is strange given we're Earth. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. So I did find a bit about the brief for the contest as I was kind of looking to see, how come it was so short. And what I could find was that the brief was about submissions that could be to promote the player's organization or an NPC group or an in-game product, a community-driven event, or anything else that they thought would be a fun in-fiction edition. In-fiction edition, which is kind of intriguing language, which I'll come back to at the end. The video itself did have to be no longer than 45 seconds, and it did have to be based within the Star Citizen universe. And obviously, it's an annual contest. Now, the bit about them being adverts or commercials, I couldn't quite figure that out because one assumes that there are other genres of content that the contest is about too, but I didn't really seem to see a lot of evidence for that anywhere I was looking. Anyway, let me start with the Dumpers depot, which is basically this kind of, as you said, short commercial that could even be something that you see on the TV today. It's footage that was recorded in the game by the arts and crafts team, which was made up of Uto Riley, Dam Shame, and Hasgahar, and it's been released on Hasgahar's channel, of course, who all actually contributed original content to this. So things like the sound effects. I believe they added an original score and put original sound design to it as well, although I believe some of the sound effects were directly from the game. Now, the concept of their ad, I believe, was based on this legitimate commercial for Dumpers Depot, which, as you said, is an existing in-game store that deals in buying and selling parts or scrap. And their script, I think, was based on an official law post, which I found a link for, and I'll put on the show notes as well. I took a look at it, the official law post, and you can clearly see that the language they use in the video, the advert, is actually bob on what the post was all about. And I got to say, the line "turn that crap into scrap" just absolutely made me laugh. I mean, it's hilarious, but so was the way, so the style of how it was made was just very interesting. It was just very advert-like. Now, I obviously don't know very much about the game, so quite a bit of what it was about didn't massively make an awful lot of sense to me, as you would expect. And clearly, one of the things that I didn't fully understand was this reference to the payment system, which, clearly what you're talking about is credits and earning a buck or two. And that kind of credit system seems to be a key part of the law and what they kind of make reference to. So some of what was in here, I did actually find quite hard to follow. I thought the words were a little bit difficult to discern in places. It was quite, the speaking was very fast and it was almost slang and truncated, and because I didn't know the game, I couldn't. That's what I struggled with to follow the most, I think. But once I found the law post for the venue, the site of it or whatever, it began to make a little bit more sense. I actually really liked the way that it had been filmed and edited, which is, it's just bob on how you see these trashy adverts presented. I guess it doesn't have the loud text that you might expect to see on some of those kind of adverts. But generally, I thought really well edited, clearly gives a sense of what it portrays and is a nice bit of fun to boot. I'm not entirely sure how it finished in the contest, but I'd like to think it was rewarded for good effort, because I think it is a good effort. The other film, Big Benny's Grab Eat, as I discovered, was in fact the winner of the video contest that year. Now, I'm not really sure exactly what the context is for it, but it's another bit of fun nonsense, sort of clearly set in the game. Big Benny's apparently was created by Quantum Creative Crew, whose channel this short is on, just streams information about Star Citizen with a view to sort of helping others navigate around it. But from what I understand about Big Benny's, it's actually a popular noodle brand in the game, known for, this is how it was described, known for its cheap, satisfying katsu noodle bowls and ubiquitous vending machines. So, yeah. I guess then the joke here is to see it floating around randomly in space. And by that, I mean outside of a station where you might actually see one of these vending machines. And again, I think it's reasonably well edited, with most of the joke being on the final half second of the visuals, really, where the bowl kind of clashes together. I would guess because of some kind of gravity effect, presumably. I don't know. So yeah, I think that was kind of what that was about. I think generally there was more creative work demonstrated in putting together the first of the picks, Damien, than the one that actually won it. This Big Benny's one. But overall, I thought it was super interesting to see that these contests are actually taking place and that whole groups of creators are working on entries for them, because clearly there were many entries for them. And of course, I might ask, why do they do it? Why do they create these shorts, given that it's just 45 seconds long and basically just a concept, which clearly requires a bit of effort to put together to extrapolate an aspect of lore in the game? Well, I did a bit of digging, and it turns out that Star Citizen uses ideas from these annual video contests, sometimes directly incorporating community suggestions, and other times it uses them for marketing and publicity. And these entries, including submitted videos, are actually used by Robert Space Industries for advertising and promotional purposes. The content entries are not necessarily guaranteed to become game features, I believe, but some have been, or indeed may well be in future, implemented, especially if they gain significant support from the community. So I'm not sure whether any of these ideas from either of these two videos have actually been integrated into the game in any way. And I'm guessing you don't know that either, but I was going to ask you, are you aware that they have been? And of course, what I particularly like about the contest and the way folks are entering it is the way that they are keeping community active and focused on being contributors. But in some respects, it does kind of feel a little bit lazy on their part, actually, at Roberts Space Industries, especially when we've seen them be quite hard on creators over IP related matters, such as, if you recall, when we came across in the past with the challenges that the Barely Not Monkeys decision making process, ended up being, and that kind of whole Squadron 42 saga, which meant the kind of machinimas that folks were putting out just couldn't really easily be made anymore. So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued in how they're going about doing this now. And obviously these concept shorts are a really kind of interesting idea. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed looking at them. Like I said, the first one was better. I thought there was more went into it from my point of view. But what do I know? I'm not a Star Citizen expert by any means. So thank you very much for sharing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if part of what they might be doing with encouraging this kind of activity amongst the users is they might also be talent scouting on the
Yeah,
sly,
absolutely. Yeah.
looking for, because I seem to have heard of at least one instance where I don't know if it was for Star Citizen or for one of the other games, but where someone uh, created something freelance, maybe even just for fun, and you fast forward and now they're actually working for the marketing department creating
Mm.
content like that on the payroll for the game. So it could be that they're also that one of the motives might be to look for talent, to do
I'm
that.
pretty sure that is what's happening because they're.
Ah,
I've been following the game since it was announced, and they would do a weekly video to show the progress, which for a lot of that first year, a lot of it was, well, we've decorated the office and we've got our machines set up this week, and we can give you a tour of the kitchen because they haven't had time to develop anything and over time. But what they would do is they'd ask fans to submit videos with questions. And so they started getting fans would get creative. Like there's one guy he put together a costume and he'd go out into the desert where he lived and he'd be in character as if he was on some kind of mission, but he had a
Huh.
question about the game. And so I don't know him specifically, but I know some of those people did get hired to produce these video to get involved with the video content for it. And so I do believe some of these creators get hired as well.
mm,
But I think even back in those early days, they were encouraging fans to just have fun with the lore, because the fans were having to fill in the gaps because what we had at the time was the video they produced for the crowdfunding campaign, which it didn't really give much away of the game world, and they'd give us little hints. But then fans would start coming up with their own thing, like that guy in the costume in the desert. He would say he was hunting. He made up the name of the planet and that he was on, and he was hunting his target. And sometimes he'd have fake shootouts with them while he was asking his question and stuff like that. So stuff like that, became part of the game community. So I think they embraced it and tried to encourage this kind of creativity.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we know
I,
how the winners of the contest were selected? Was it the company themselves, Roberts Space Industries, that chose the winners, or was it like a fan voting kind of thing, or do
I
we know?
believe the company did it themselves because it was obviously
Okay.
an official contest. So
Okay.
what I need to do is check out this year's contest and see how that one works,
mm,
and maybe
Right.
get a better idea of how to answer that.
mm,
It's to be honest, that's not the answer I was expecting because
mm,
I'm in the same camp as Tracy. I think the Dumpers Depot commercial had a significantly more sophisticated
mm,
touch. Whereas this one, if this one was a fan favorite, because there's a lot of like inside game humor about these noodles or whatever, then just to me that would explain why this one vaulted to the top. It's not superior in a technical way,
mm.
but anyway, uh, yeah. So let's talk about it. The Dumpers Depot, a, a nice amount of polish on this. I'm they don't credit a voice actor, so I'm left wondering, was this some kind of 11 Labs voice or was it an actor? I want to think it's an actor.
It was several
Um,
years ago, so I don't think 11 Labs was a
okay,
thing
so it
back then.
probably is a voice actor. Yeah, so maybe it was just one of the actual principals on the team, so they don't credit themselves for it. So that makes
Yeah.
sense. You don't have time to do on-screen credits in a film this short anyway. So, um, but the accent, it's funny, Tracy, I didn't have any trouble
You heard
understanding
it,
the
did you?
wording at all, but
Mm,
I think
mm.
that I want to say Texan Southern, American Southern
Um,
Texan accent, I have a real ear for because I've lived in those regions and live over here. And there's probably, if they picked, a particular regional accent within the UK, I would really struggle, and you would be like, "What are you talking about?" It's totally. So I think it may just be that it's a pretty heavy accent, and
right.
it kind of gives it for an American. I don't know what the effect is globally of that accent, what that's associated with, but for an American accent, it's associated with like they call it down home Southern hospitality, or a good old boy, like just someone who's just a salt of the earth kind of person and very matter of fact and speaks exactly what's on his mind, that kind of thing.
Well,
And it's very commonly used in advertisements in the US in that region. You
right.
probably wouldn't see that voice actor being used in commercials in New England or something or Minnesota, because it's just not as common up there and maybe doesn't even mean the same thing up there. So, yeah, I thought that the voice performance was really good. The kind of logo reveal at the end was nice. The editing and shot selection and everything. I think the one thing that I kind of found myself yearning for from both of these is something other than just a straight up ad. But that may just be my personal bent. Like my tendency would be, what kind of a satirical twist can I put on this, or something really unexpected happening?
Mm.
I don't know if I would have used that approach if I knew that, like if YouTube sponsors a video contest and they're going to be judging the winner of it, it's probably not your best play to make something that lampoons YouTube in that, right? So the probably part of the thinking in going into these ads was, I can't be real sarcastic about the lore because they're not going to want to promote that message, right? So that may be part of what influenced that. But they're pretty level, like in terms of just, it's just straight. You're right. The second one does have kind of a semblance of a punchline with the way that it reveals the food at the end and stuff. So yeah, I found myself craving that, of something to surprise me a bit. They're very well made. The first one in particular, I like that punchline aspect of the way the narration was crafted for the second one.
Yeah.
The voice actor for the second one was great as well. So I love this form, as I mentioned at the top. But I don't love. I love the form when it is lampooned, is the thing. So like I love when I don't know if Monty Python really ever did any straight commercial parodies. They did skits that kind of had that feel sometimes, but Saturday Night Live definitely does. All the American sketch comedy shows, it's a feature that in addition to these live sketches, they'll have these crafted ads similar to what I did in my most recent Master Toots with the whole, I did a big
brilliant.
pharmaceutical ad for an antidepressant called Don't Cry No Mo,
Yeah.
right?
Brilliant.
That's
Phil.
the kind of advertisement I love.
Yeah.
So looking at the use of the unexpected in that, I used a bunch of stock footage like they do in these ads, these pharmaceutical ads that we see all over the place. I don't know if that's true over there, but it's just all over television, just pharmaceutical ads. And the comical thing about them is that the list of negative side effects takes up way more of the time of the advert than the benefits. So they'll name the benefit at the top, and then it's just this list of just horrific side effects, which include things like, death, may cause death. But don't worry, it'll make your skin stop itching. So it's very strange, the phenomenon of that. So that's what I was lampooning, and the stock footage, if you noticed, like it starts out with stuff you would expect, people smiling in slow-mo and doing all these nice things, and then all of a sudden it's like a little bit strange, and by the end of it, it's stock footage of a meteor crashing into the Earth, destroying the Earth, and then a soldier standing on a ragged battlefield with a mushroom cloud rising in the back. So that's what I mean is to just throw something in there that's a little weird and unexpected. But that's probably more of just a matter of that's my personal taste. Is I love making parody commercials, and would have loved to see a little of that. But again, it's a tough decision to do that when you know that who you're parodying is going to be judging the videos. They may not have as much of a sense of humor about that stuff, So, anyway, I enjoy this form. I would encourage anyone who is new or relatively new, or even if you've been involved with it for a while, this form of an advert, as dry and as boring as that might sound, it is the ultimate short form work. I grew up as a fan of something that it was called the Clio Awards over here. But basically, it was awards that were given each year to the most creative advertisements. It started in like the 1960s. And I don't know I assume it still goes on today, but for a while there, it was televised. The Super Bowl, the big sporting event here in the US, a good portion of people just watch that just to watch the commercials because that's when all the advertisers do their
Yeah.
kind of craziest and wackiest stuff. So, an advertisement as a form is a very interesting challenge because you still have to do a lot of the things you would for a larger production. You still have to create characters and provide voices and have sets and all of that and have a soundtrack and have, sound effects and all those things typically are part of it. But it's a manageable size, So my attraction to the short form generally of short films, that's a big reason why they're appealing is because it's a lot less intimidating to face down the prospect of I'm going to create this 5-minute story than it is to do Damien a 2-hour epic, right? It's tough. Not everyone can do that, right? So I think if you're starting, it's really helpful to. I think almost everyone in this craft started with shorter works, right? It's just because it's manageable, and you want to be able to finish. You want to be able to finish the work. That's an important part of the creator reward of starting something is to actually complete it, is to finish it. And so this is a good strategy for that especially when you're getting started you get to have a taste of all the elements of virtual production or filmmaking when you're doing a short film. You get to exposed to all the same elements you do on a longer one. It's just in a manageable bite size, So I think it's a good place to start and it's a good place to revisit sometimes too, and if you look a lot of creators that make stuff even when they do long form, they'll occasionally return to short form because it's very satisfying to kind of do the condensed version of things.
Yeah.
So I think that's the draw for this, and it certainly makes it. We always had a time limit on the Machinima Expo of how long a submission could be or how long we recommended it would be. And so part of that for a contest of this scale is somebody's got to watch all these, right? So
That's a good point.
yeah, so you don't want 600 1-hour films. So
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
yeah. So, and I think that's the reason a lot of film festivals, when it's short form, it's pretty restrictive. Can't be more than 10 minutes long or whatever. Well, that's part of the reason. It's just practical. But as a filmmaker, you can look at that as that's an opportunity. My daughter is working on a college application essay right now, and they restricted her to where it can't be longer than 650 words. And when you're at word 1, that sounds like a lot of words. But she got inspired with the topic she's going to do, and she started writing, and she came to me last night and she's like, "Dad, I'm at word 648 and I'm not done." you know?
Well, she's got two words left to use.
The short form is challenging, right? So I told her, I said, "Look, how far along are you?" She says, "I'm most of the way there." I said, "Then finish it. Finish your idea. And then whatever your word count is, I'll help you learn how to make those decisions." Cutting it back down again is a lot easier, than having to reach some high minimum. A low maximum is manageable. And that's what the short form is for filmmaking as well. You're writing within some deliberately chosen restrictions, or creating within those restrictions. It applies to music as well. So, there's a reason why not all songs are the length of Pink Floyd in the 1970s songs. They just make it a decent length. So anyway, yeah, I'm really glad you picked these. I find it a treat to get a taste of what a creator can do and see what they can show us in a short time. And that's what these are perfect for. So thanks for picking these, Damien.
Yeah. It's funny you both picked up on Dumpers Depot as being the best one because that was my favorite too. Oh. But I thought I can't just choose one when it's only 45 seconds long. I thought
No, it was good to see two of them.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I do intend to do is check out this year's contest and see what entries there were for that, because I looked at this year's contest. I'll just pick some of those, but they have to be submitted in private, so they're unlisted videos for the Citizen Con. So they're only revealed yesterday, and obviously that's not enough time for you guys to watch them and
yes, thank you.
So, yeah. So maybe next month I'll choose some of the newer ones, and we'll see what they've done there.
Well, great. We'll look forward to those, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, audience, what did you think? Sorry for the unannounced burp there. I'm trying to, I can't win for losing here. I'm trying to not cough, and so I'm drinking. And anyway, so what did you think of these shorts? And here's a question for the audience. Um, I have thought sometimes about should the Completely Machinima podcast, should we like host and sponsor a short film contest or event of some kind? I just don't know if there's enough people out there that are still that tune into the show that are actively creating that would want to participate in something like that. What do you think about that? Are there too many people already doing that kind of thing? Are there plenty of opportunities for these short film contests, or would another one be welcome? So let us know. It's just something I've been personally thinking about. I haven't. If you could see the faces of my co-hosts, they're kind of like, what? Because I never mentioned it, but it's something I've been thinking about. I don't want to revive the entire expo. That was a weight that I don't think we're interested in carrying again at this point, and maybe it's also not necessary anymore. But would a little contest be interesting? Would you enter if we did? Let us know. You can email us at talk@completelymachinima.com or leave us a comment wherever you're watching or listening to this episode. So my name's Phil, and on behalf of my co-hosts, Tracy and Damien, we will see you next time.
Bye.